Hello everyone. Today I, Shivang Joshi, co-founder of Law Community, welcomes you all on Lawyer Speaks. Today we have Ms. Rati Tandon, who is an advocate in Supreme Court of India and NCCA qualified. She deals in real estate, bankruptcy law, business law, corporate law, family law, and personal injury law. We welcome her to know more about her journey through this interaction.
Ma'am, what factors influenced you to choose law as a career, and how was your law school experience like?
So, law happened by chance. It wasn't something by choice. And I come from a very small town in UP, that's Allahabad, now Prayagraj. So I was naive and I wanted to experience the DU life, the glamorous DU life. But I had not scored as much to sort of get into the top 10 colleges. And that's when during the process, my mom said, why not try law? Because it's a professional degree and it opens so many arenas for you. You can get into teaching, you can, get into corporate litigation. There are multiple channels that you can really take forward your career in. So that's how law happened, and I'm very glad that it did. We were a bit hesitant in the start whether it's going to work out or not. And it's not meant for somebody, it can be drilling for some. So, my law school experience was wonderful. It was something really new for me because my sister and me, we were always kept in a very cocooned environment back in Allahabad. So sort of to be exposed to this new world of amity and to be, to experience such different personalities and people from all walks of life was something very different. And unlike the perception that people have that amity is, it's meant for the elite or it's meant for people the moneyed class. That's wrong. We had people from all stages of life, not from all stages, but from all walks of life. There were some who were not financially that well, some were quite well. So it was a good mix, and that's a wrong perception that people have. So I'm sure that there is a certain segment of amity that is portrayed to be as such because it's a private institution, but that's not true. I'd like to burst that bubble. So that's about it. And of course, in terms of law, I feel the faculty was very new when I started out. We were in batch, it was ALS 2, that's Amity Law School 2. So we were the second batch of that law school, and it was good. I mean, in terms of moods and papers and all of those extracurriculars, we were not exposed to it in the first go because we were new. But eventually, our department came up with opportunities, and we did participate in it. So, but at a university level, we had a lot of opportunities in terms of sports, in terms of the what do you call that? The festivals that happen once a year or something like that. So yeah, that was beautiful. But I'm very grateful for the experience that Amity has given me.
Very well, ma'am. Ma'am, after graduation, how did you pursue your career in law, and what challenges did you face in the initial stages of your career?
So for a first generation lawyer like me, Kusha, it was really difficult because my father did have a few connections here and there. He still does, but I was an adamant person. I was an adamant girl saying that, I want to do things myself. Let me do it for like a year or two. Let me figure out things my way. And if they do not happen, we're going to take your help. So that happened. And luckily, in the first 2 years, I figured out something for myself. I understood how to pierce that bubble, that litigation bubble. And that's what I wanted to do. I think we'll get back to on this a bit later in the interview. But it was very challenging in terms of time, energy required, the seniors, how they perceive you. So when you say that you don't know something, how are they going to react to it? That's something that you have to understand how to deal with that. And that comes with internships. So you need to intern quite seriously, basically. One of the biggest challenge was to find the right office, because what happened was I was trying to look for a place which had a good amount of good flow of work. And the office that I joined initially, they were paying very well. They were making me work for about 8 to 10 hours a day, very strict timings and everything, but there was no work. And almost like a month into the practice, I realized, what am I doing with my career? I mean, I'm not learning anything. My peers are going to go ahead and know, they'll be left here knowing nothing, being paid really well, but knowing nothing about my subject. So that's when I started taking a lot of interviews, and I started looking for opportunities where I could sort of, and I would give interviews all across the board. I was really, I didn't think that I might not get into this firm, so let's not try. So I think that the law students should be very careful of. You must try every opportunity that knocks your door. Even if it doesn't, you have to sort of get into the practice of approaching people personally. And I think LinkedIn is a great profile. I was introduced to it a bit later. I got my hands on it a bit later. There are multiple opportunities where law students can, on as of today, they can sort of approach the big fishes, so to say, in the law industry. I'd also like to, if I may, so there were a few seniors who sort of promised me, oh, you will learn a lot of work, trust me, but we can't pay you. We can't pay you. You will learn a lot of work. That is something where I am so sorry to say that. I'm so sorry to say this, but they play with your mind when they tell you that you're going to learn a lot, but we are not going to pay you. That's pure exploitation. And I was in that rut for a bit. And soon I realized that that's not true. If you are giving 8 hours of your day, 6 days a week, and you're getting a decent salary, you're doing the work. As long as you're doing the work, you will learn eventually. You don't have to get into that rut of, and especially in those, they play with words sometimes. You have to be careful where you have to draw the line. So yeah, that also was a struggle.
Ma'am, after graduation, you did your PG diploma in India. How important are these courses for law graduates to pursue in their career?
So they're not mandatory for sure, but it's always good to sort of revisit what you've already studied. PG diploma happened at a stage of my career where I was planning to do an LLM, and I thought, what, let me just try if I can study. Let me try if I really want to study now. I was almost like 3 years into practice, 2.5, 3 years into practice, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to study now. So that's how it happened. But I will definitely encourage students and young lawyers. I always try and support them when they're willing to sort of take courses. I'm not sure how effective online courses are. I'm sure there are educational, technological education, whatever that is. It's booming right now. But nothing beats classroom learning, in my opinion. That's also, there could be a good balance of both. So PG Diploma was a very good course, and I was introduced to some really nice bunch of people through that course. And I got to revisit arbitration laws in an altogether new manner, because back in law school, we used to study it, just for the purpose of sort of cracking the exam. But here we are studying it while practicing it. So that combination works out really well if you want to understand any law.
Ma'am, you are also NCA Canada qualified, which makes you eligible to practice in common law jurisdiction of Canada. Was there any specific reason to get that accreditation, and how can Indian students apply for that if they want to pursue it?
Right. So NCA happened again by chance. What happened was, like I said, I was planning to do an LLM. And I soon figured out that LLM would require a lot of time and money. I spoke to some big shots in my industry, and I got to know, if you want to practice law, you don't really need an LLM. It's more like a paid holiday. That's what they called it. But in my opinion, that was not true. I mean, if you really want to, you will get like two schools of thought on this, on doing an LLM, and it's really a subjective thing. So one has. So the idea was actually not to do an LLM, but to get an international exposure. That was the main idea behind sort of taking the NCA step. And while going through the process, while talking to people who've done LLM and all of that, I came across NCAs, and I realized that that's a beautiful way of parallelly, while working here, I could parallelly crack exams and then take the bar. Also, to clear something that you just said, NCA do not make you eligible to take the bar, do not make you eligible to practice in Canada directly. What NCA does is it makes you equivalent to a Canadian law graduate. So thereon you can sort of take the bar exam and then become eligible to practice in Canada.
Ma'am, what is your opinion on 2019 amendment of Arbitration and Conciliation Act? And was it impactful or we have a long way to go, in your opinion?
I mean, we are certainly moving towards a very international base now with arbitration, especially with this amendment. I feel we have sort of introduced like the ACI, which is something revolutionary for arbitration. I mean, arbitration has gained a lot of attention in the past 12 years, and we certainly needed a body like ACI to monitor institutional arbitration in India. So that is a great step in my opinion. And in terms of the timeline, I'm not really sure. Let's see how that pans out. So what happened in 2015 was that there was a time period of 12 months given to an arbitrator from the date of him coming on board to the date of passing an award, which was extendable by 18 months. But what 2019 does is that they say, you have to sort of, once the pleadings are complete, that's when your time starts as an arbitrator to pass the award. Now, the loophole could be, the lawyers could sort of take that time to complete pleadings as a leverage to delay the proceedings. That could be a thing. It could be misused also. But let's see. I'm a little hesitant to really. I don't know how this one will pan out. But let's see.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, recently CGI Justice S.A. Bobray said combination of physical and virtual court hearing is the way forward. What is your opinion on virtual court system and e-filings, and can we expect lawyers and judges to adapt to this system as soon as possible?
Certainly, I think in the legal industry, we're going through a revolutionary phase. It's something absolutely new and uncharted for us as a Indian legal community. So it is going to be difficult. It's not an easy path for sure, especially for the older generation. As young lawyers, it's easier for us to adapt because we're more tech savvy. I'm not, but usually we all are. So it's easier for us to sort of get a hang of it. And also one major thing is that the older generation might not have that kind of an infrastructure to make it easy for them. They might not have young lawyers around them to make them understand how it works and how it doesn't, what are the etiquettes that you have to maintain. I think there's a lot of talk about the etiquettes that have to be maintained while a virtual court hearing is going on. So there is a lot of scope for growth. But at the same time, we have to be to understand and to implement this new way of doing court hearings. So just like Justice Lokur says, he has, I think, emphasized a lot how our legal community is very closed in that sense. I think that's what he said. And we have to be more adaptable and equipped. Very important. We have to be equipped also. So yeah, I think that's what I feel. We can certainly do it. E-filing, again, I would say is great because I have experienced it. I simply filed something online in the courts, and it was a very smooth process. Going to be some teething problems. Let's understand and let's be more open to understanding and doing the hearing. And sort of conducting everything smoothly.
Ma'am, what advice or suggestion would you like to give to those professionals who have just started their career in law, or to law students who are still studying?
I would definitely suggest that you have to take risks. I think it's underrated sometimes, it's overrated sometimes. So you have to take risks, and especially in your early stages, in your early years of your legal career, because that will expose you to multiple opportunities and multiple fields within law where you can explore, and you might like them, you might not like them, but it will help you understand the person that you are and what you like and what you don't. So I think risk taking is something very important. Another thing that I would suggest is, you don't enter the profession with a lot of principles, but you must be very conscious to formulate a few of them for yourself. So for instance, let's say there might be situations as a young lawyer where your senior clients are approaching you. Now, you, as an ethical lawyer, you wouldn't go against their back and deal with that lawyer, take their case, and da 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 da. In my humble opinion, the way to go about it is you confront your senior. You tell them that so and so client has approached me, and I want to take up his case. This is an ideal scenario. Trust me, this does not happen. Seniors are not very alright with it. But that's where your principles come into play, and it's a very small legal community. You have to be, and it's very tight knit, so you have to maintain that ethical and professional rules for your own self to function and to make a name for yourself in the community. But like I said, this is a very ideal situation where a senior is like, yeah, of course, please go ahead and take the case. That doesn't happen. But then you have to find a way to deal with it.
Ma'am, like you just mentioned about risk taking, what is one risk that you have taken in your law career and it has been fruitful?
I think NCS has been the biggest law career. It can break my career also, and it's, I think, too early to say anything and to comment on it. But to consider to go and practice in a different jurisdiction is a risk enough for me to take, because I've been in practice for about 5 years now, and somewhere it does bring you back saying that, nay, maybe not, it's not the thing for me to do right now. But let's see how things go about.
Ma'am, how can an organization like Law Community prove beneficial to the legal fraternity, and what new avenues are expected by legal professionals such as yourself?
So when I started Loreto, and all of these organizations were starting out, uh, and there were a lot of written interviews, something like that we're doing right now. It's virtual and it's like visual. They were mostly in print, so like something like Super Lawyer and stuff like that. So that does give you a face value as a lawyer. It does put you somewhere on the board, and it is great because I don't say that it is great for me to share my experience. It might be great for a law student, but as a lawyer, I would like to hear what my peers have been through. What are the challenges that they have faced, and most importantly, I'd like to know what the seniors have faced. So, for instance, I was attending this webinar by Mr. Akhil Sibbal, and he shared with us what are the, how you should go about in a hearing. How should you address the court? What are the things that you should avoid, and basically how to do a hearing. That was the motto, and because we got to learn from his 20 years of practice what to do and what not to do at an early stage like this. So I think that gives us a lot of sort of information about how to go about it. Otherwise, we would struggle, and it'll take us another 20 years to understand the things that they are sharing with us now. So that's very important. And I would definitely encourage our senior lawyers to come on board and share with us their experiences and the cases that they've dealt with, what are the difficulties that they've faced, stuff like that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This interview has been really insightful, and I'm sure everyone will benefit. Like you said, that you like hearing the seniors, their experience. This is the same for us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time.